Welcome back to part 2 on Zyon Grand's 3-bedder safe entry scorecard. If you're considering whether you want to go in for a 3-bedder in Zyon in terms of the compact or their 3-bed premium, you must tune in for this episode because I will be breaking down your competitor check versus the new launch check to compare whether Zyon is going to be a good buy for 3-bedder and also to see whether at what price point is considered a high risk. So same thing, we're going to compare Tier 1 with new launches because there are new launches around us, and also for Tier 2, we're going to compare with resale, and then we will come up to a conclusion on what is safe and what is not so safe. For Tier 1, we will be taking reference for River Green as well as Promenade Peak. For Promenade Peak, we all know that their sizes are built on a larger floor plate. Their entry price starts from 2.799 million all the way to 4 million. This means that if you're considering to take Promenade Peak as a comparison with Zyon, I will say that this might be not a very fair comparison because the square feet is 1,033 for their compact 3. But nonetheless, let's take a look at how they have been and already been transacted for their low, mid and high floor. For low floor, they have transacted at 2,007 plus per square feet and averaging at about 2.8 million. And then for their mid floor, they have averaged at 2.9 million around 2,008 PSF. And lastly, for their high floor, they are transacted at 3,000 per square feet, averaging 3.2 million. This means that, let's say Promenade Peak and Zyon Grand are going to be put out for sale at the same time, you're probably going to observe that Promenade Peak's 3-bedder is going to be selling at 3 million to 3.1 million onwards, versus Zyon, you may potentially get to sell at a higher 2 or lower 3. For River Green, we know that they have a very tiny 3-bed 2-bath at 786 square feet. This is to cater for upgraders or smaller families from OCR or RCR that doesn't want to buy a big space but rather enjoys the convenience. For 786 square feet 3-bedroom compact, there's transaction as low as 2.188 all the way to 3.012. Now, if I break it down into the size itself, for 786 square feet, you can see that they have already transacted at 2.2 million, ranging about 2,008 plus per square feet, mid-floor at 3,000 per square feet, ranging about 2.4 million, and lastly, high floor at 2.6 million, ranging at 3,300 per square feet. And for River Green, we know that they have a 3-bedroom premium at 872 square feet as well. And for this, I'm also going to take reference with that because in Zyon, we have sizes at 818 square feet all the way to 861 for their smaller 3-bedroom. For low floor, there's transaction at 2.6 million, ranging about 2,950 per square feet. Whereas for their mid-floor is 3,180 per square feet, averaging about 2.7 million. And lastly, for their high floor, they have transacted up to 2.9 million at 3,420 per square feet. Why is it important for you to know this is because we now want to piece all this together into our summary page so that we can take reference one by one to see what is safe. Let's move on to the resale that we call as Tier 2. For resale, we are also going to take reference with River, and you can see that River, they have 840 square feet, but it's a 2-bedder. For a 2-bedder, you can see their low floor is ranging at 2.4 million, mid-floor around 2.5 million, and high floor around 2.65. I wouldn't be really using their per square feet because River is an unharmonized project, so we just look at the quantum and then let's gauge from there to see how much will they be selling as compared to Zyon Grand in terms of the quantum itself. Also for other resale around River Valley area, you can also see that River has another size of 3-bedroom, which is at 1141 square feet and so on. For their 1141 square feet, I would say you can only use this as a guide that they will be transacting at a low 3 million, mid-floor at 3.3 million and high floor at 3.5 million. Because all of them are new sale, you're going to expect River's 1,141 square feet, low floor at 3.4 million, mid-floor at 3.7 million, and high floor up to 3.9 million in the resale market moving forward. Let's say Zyon Grand has a TOP'd. With River's 3-bedder 1,141 square feet being 3.4 to 3.9 million in future, this will now make Zyon very attractive in terms of the exit price. Because if today you are able to enter Zyon at a mid-2 all the way to maybe 2.9 to 3 million and able to sell it at maybe 2.7 or 2.9 million up to 3.2 million, it will still make Zyon very attractive. But is this going to happen? We need to stay till the end to find out. So for multi-modern, it is a relatively slightly older project, TOP'd in 2021. You look at their 3-bedroom compact, it's 1,012 square feet, unharmonized. If you actually deharmonize it, it's 900 plus square feet, which is the reason why I'm still using multi-modern for you to have a gauge. And they have transaction from 2.7 all the way to 3 million. From low floor 2.7, mid floor 2.8 plus, even up to high floor at 3 million. Because they are already resale prices, the people over there are able to accept a smaller 3-bedder at this kind of price range. Taking into reference with a Well-Hill as well, a Well-Hill recently already have sub-sale transaction from 2.5 to 2.7 for their low, mid and high floor. These are all the sub-sale, which means that there are buyers who are buying at this quantum. Let's summarize everything that I just shared into low, mid and high floor. In low floor alone, you can see prominent peak. For 3-bedroom compact, there is 1,033 square feet transacting at 2.8 million. For River Green, you can see that their 786 square feet is transacting at 2.24 million. And then their 872 square feet is transacting at 2.57. What about Zyon? If you take reference with River Green's Compact 3 is 2.24 million, as compared to Zyon 2.32 million for their lower level, there is actually a very close price gap in terms of the entry price. There's merely a 32 square feet difference as compared to River Green, and this 32 square feet amounts to a 80,000 difference, which means that in River Green 786 square feet versus Zyon 818, although it's 80,000 higher, the question you want to ask yourself is this actually a more sizable floor plate as compared to 786? Because if I'm going to put this unit up for sale in the market, there could be buyers who are confused whether is this a 2-bedder plus study or is this a 3-bedder. Whereas for this, it could be a good chance that people are still able to comprehend that this is a Compact 3, because later you're going to take a look at the floor plan and going to make sense of how efficient it's being designed. So for this River Green, you can also notice their 872 square feet, which is their 3-bedroom premium, is at 2.57 million. Whereas for Zyon Grand is only 2.53 million with 861 square feet. This means that there is actually 100,000 of safety net. This means that if you take a look at entry price at 2.57 versus 2.53, there is actually a difference of about 40,000. Let's move on to Revere being a resale. You can notice that for their 818 square feet as compared to Revere's 840, their entry price is almost the same. One at 2.4 million for their 2-bed, 2-bath, and another one is a Compact 3 at 2.32 million. I take reference into this. There's 100,000 safety nets. With Revere 2-bedder, if I unharmonize it, it should be at 781 square feet. And this makes up to 3,072 per square feet as compared to Zyon's 2,846 square feet. And the PSF difference is 226 lower in Zyon as compared to Revere. For their 861 square feet, it is also important for you to know that River Green has already transacted up to 2.57, whereas Revere has transacted up to 2.5 million, and Zyon is actually a sweet spot in between for both of their amounts. For example, if you look at the square feet difference between River Green and Zyon, there is only 11 square feet difference with a safety net of 40,000 in River Green itself, both being harmonized already. So for Revere, we are not going to use their 3-bedder compared with Zyon Grand because their 3-bedder is on a larger size at 1,141 square feet. Instead, we are going to use a Well because a Well is 861 square feet and also just newly TOP'd. With 861 square feet, they are transacting at 2.5 million. Let's say if I unharmonize it, it will be at 800 square feet. For 800 square feet, if I take reference to the price point, you can notice that there is a 30,000 difference from a Well as compared to Zyon Grand. If I harmonize in terms of the per square feet, it will amount to 3,125 versus 2,948 PSF. This means that it is 177 PSF lower in Zyon as compared to a Well. Now that also means that today I'm considering a new launch between a resale. It makes Zyon even more attractive as a new launch because I'm going to enter at a new launch price that is lower than a resale, and yet I'm able to have a safety net of a very healthy sale amount in future because I know that a Well-Hill will eventually be selling at 2.7 million onwards, and me entering at 2.5, I will still be able to get a 100 to 150,000 of safety net. For their mid-floor as well, you can also notice there's a 32 square feet difference between Zyon and River Green that makes up to 110,000 difference. Whereas for Zyon's 3-bedroom compact, you can take reference to River, which is 840 square feet transacting at 2.5 million. But for Zyon Grand, it's only transacting at 2.47 million. This means that there's actually a 30,000 difference between a 3-bedder and a 2-bedder. If I unharmonize it, there's still going to be a 179 PSF difference lower in Zyon than in River itself. So speaking of 3 and 2-bedder comparison, the answer is for you to decide. And if I move on to 861 square feet, although there's an 11 square feet difference, there is still a safety net of 80,000 as compared to River Green at 2.77 million as compared to Zyon Grand 2.69 million. If I take comparison to a Hill has already transacted up to 2.6 for unharmonized project. Let's say if I harmonize it at 800 square feet, I'm going to expect a per square feet of 3,250 as compared to 3,130 PSF. So that makes Zyon another 120 per square feet lower. So one being super brand new launch, and when they sell, they are the new resale versus a mid to older age resale in the market. This also makes Zyon's Grand's pricing very attractive, provided they don't jump too much on the launch day when they adjust their price. For high floor alone, we are going to expect a 32 square feet difference from River Green and 100,000 difference. And also for Zyon's Grand, 2.69 million as compared to River's 2.65 million. This makes up to a 40,000 difference to get a 3-bedroom as compared to River's. For PSF alone itself, there is also a difference of up to 97 per square feet lower in Zyon, because if I unharmonize it, River is going to be positioned at 3,393 PSF as compared to 3,296 per square feet in Zyon Grand. For the 861 square feet, you're going to have a safety net of 50,000 as compared to River Green. And if you're comparing with a resale, there's a 230,000 difference from one transacting at 2.93 million in Zyon as compared to 2.7 million in Awell's 3-bedder at the same size. Well, if I unharmonize it, it's still going to be an 800 square feet difference. So let's take a look at the PSF difference is $39. So at this moment onwards, the question you may want to ask yourself is, if Awell on a high level is transacting at 2.7 million as a sub-sale, and Zyon Grand I'm going to enter at 2.93 million, this makes the gap narrower. There might be some increased risk for this portion. So if I'm going to go for a high floor, I may not go up to maybe the 51 floor all the way to 62 level, because that could be a chance that they are situated at 3,400 PSF and above. But if I'm going to choose a mid to lower level, the benchmark will be around 3,300 plus PSF, so that in the future when I sell, I'm still going to expect a healthy gain of 100 to 200,000 of safety net as compared to my competitors. So let's take a look at the floor plan comparison between a resale of River's 2-bedder as compared to Zyon's Grand 3-bedder, 818 square feet. There could be a potential saving of 210,000 for an additional room, and this is how it works out. If you take a look at the entry price in River, you can notice that they have already sold at 2.5 million at 18 level. And let's say if Zyon is at 2,008 per square feet, which is at the mid to lower level, you can expect your entry price to be around 2.29 million. With a 2.29 million, pretty much you're going to have an efficient layout, as well as you don't have to pay for aircon ledge, right? So you're able to spread out the aircon ledge that you can get in River into all these sizes, which amount to a more efficient space, giving you an additional room as compared to River, which only have 2 bedrooms. This is already a 209,000 of savings. And then for their 3-bedroom, let's take a look at Martin Modern's comparison. For Martin Modern, we know that there's also a 2-bed plus study at 850 square feet. With 850 square feet as compared to Zyon's 818 square feet, there might be also a potential saving of 154,000 for a usable space in Zyon versus Martin Modern is 76 square meter for all your usable floor space as compared to Martin Modern's 3 square meter, but what you get is 3 square meter plus additional room plus additional saving of 154,000, because Martin Modern 2-bed plus study has already transacted up to 2.445, and then for Zion's it's only 2.29 million. So speaking of price efficiency, it is also a no-brainer for us to notice that Zyon is going to be really a very good buy at this point of time. If I compare to Martin Modern's 1,012 square feet, there might also be a potential saving of 620,000. If you see Zyon's and Martin Modern's floor plan, you can also see that one has already transacted at 3 mil. Let's say Zyon is going to be transacting at 3,002 per square feet on a mid to higher level. You're going to expect a 2.75 million of entry price. If 2.75 million compared to Martin Modern's 3-bedder, there's going to be 274,800 savings with the same view because they are facing the same side. As such, even though the rest of the space are pretty much the same, you're going to save space on the aircon ledge for a more usable and efficient layout over here without any space wastage. So this is very important. Not only do we get the same view, we also get to buy at a lower price, and we also get to save 274,000 right from the day one when you enter. Which means that if you're going to sell, you're going to start on a safety net of 274,000. I know some of us might also be wondering, let's say if I go over there on day one and eventually when it's my turn to queue, I'm looking at 3,400 per square feet. If I'm looking at 3,400 per square feet, should I still proceed? I want to remember that for Martin Modern, their transaction at 3.03 million is at level 27. But if you're going to go in at 3,004, you are likely going to go in at 34 or 35 level. At 34 or 35 level, or even up to 40th level, you are still going to enter at 2.9 million and potentially 102,000 of savings with approximately maybe 20 floor higher than Martin Modern at level 27. The floor level could range from level 30 all the way to level 45. So with this, I'm very sure that we're going to expect a better view, and yet you get to buy at a premium that is lower by 102,000. So to answer your question, should you go ahead, I would want to challenge you to think about this. If you're able to get an efficient layout with this same view or even a better view at a saving of 102,000 lower than your neighbors, do you think it's still good to proceed? Lastly, I also want to share with you that if you take a look at the 3-bedroom number of supply, some of us might still be worried about this. You will notice that in the CBD area alone, there's only 3 projects in Singapore that has above 60 floor and above 3 bedrooms. So not to even mention in the non-CBD area, which is Zyon area, only Zyon area and Promenade Peak has above 60 floor and above 3 bedrooms. But for Zyon, it's actually more palatable because it's 800 over square feet for a higher level, unlike Promenade Peak because their higher level is 3, 4 and 5 bedder and their quantum is 4 million onwards. Some of you might also be asking, is there actually a profit difference? Let's say if I decided to buy a higher level down. I want to share with you that let's take reference to Sterling Residences. For Sterling Residences, those people who are buying at a lower level, they have made a profit of 594,000. At the same time, when the higher level are selling in Sterling, they have also made a profit and this time 700,000 and above. This means that actually when they enter for lower level, 1,532 PSF. But for higher level, even though they enter at 1,700 PSF, 200 PSF higher upon entry, they are still able to sell at a higher profit as compared to the lower level. So in this context, I will definitely be confident to say that it's good to go from a top-down approach because this is where the feel and the vibe comes in. And people who are buying central area, do you not agree that view is also very important? Another example to share with you, Atra 3-bedder, 1,227 square feet. Both purchased at the similar time, one at 1,487 and the other one at 1,883 because they bought about 6 months later. Are still able to make 617,000 even though they buy later, and the lower level only make 554,000. By paying a premium of 26.6% for the same size at very high floor, you're still able to exit with higher profit. If today you are considering Zyon, I do want to challenge you to start from a top-down approach because this is the time that you are able to probably find a buyer with a better budget and also find a buyer who enjoys and appreciates this view and is willing to pay because we're talking about a central area here with these panoramic views. With that, let's take a look at the safe entry scorecard. For low risk, go for the 818 square feet stack 6 Promenade Peak open view. You should be entering from level 20 to level 50 and there's only 30 units from 2.3 to 2.5 million. For the 861 square feet, it will be stack 3 Promenade Peak site as well. I think from 20 to 50th floor is great because you don't really have traffic noise and you will enter from 2.5 to 2.7 million, but there's only 30 units. For mid-risk, consider the 818 square feet stat 6, also the open view, but do be mindful that because there's tennis court and entrance roundabout over here, you want to get from level 2 to level 19, but same thing from top-down approach. And there's only 18 units for consideration, so I'm also quite sure that it will go fast. For 861 square feet, start from Sex 3 over here, which is promenade, peak and open view. Also from level 2 to 19 is a quiet facing, and you should expect 18 units from 2.3 to 2.5 million. Another range for mid-risk will be 861 square feet, Stack 3, promenade, peak, open view. You should go from 51 to 62 because actually the view here is open and unblocked. And your entry price this time round, you're entering at 2.7 to 2.9. Still safe because we see transaction from 3 million onwards. And there's only 18 units. And then 861 square feet, you can consider Stack 9, which is facing Mirage and open view. Go for the level 20 to level 50 from 2.5 to 2.7. But why is this mid-risk? Because there's actually traffic here. Sometimes you might hear a bit of road noise and stuff. There's only 30 units, so let's see your ballot queue number. Lastly, for high risk, consider the 861 square feet. I mean, if you have no choice and you know that it's high risk, then this is at your discretion. From level 2 to level 19, 2.3 to 2.5 million, only 18 units, which is over here. Also, for the Stack 9, from level 51 to 62, from 2.7 to 2.9 million, again, there's only 12 units. It's actually not as open because these are all the high rises. So even if you're buying here, you don't have this nicer view than here. I would say this is high risk because when you want to sell and people are looking at another block, they may not feel it as much as an open view. With that, I will want to end off my 3-bedder safe entry scorecard with you. And I know that in this video, you may not be able to derive at how to really prioritize what's next or list down the units and do a checklist from there. Feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you. Good luck for your balloting!